Hi, my name is Gil Robertson, president of the African American Film Critics Association. Today for AAFCA Roundtables, we have one of our favorites, director Gina Prince-Bythewood, who is a previous recipient of an AAFCA award. We are so delighted with the growth of her career and making history, literally making history, with her new project, Old Guard, which marks the first time that an African-American woman has directed a live action, a kick-ass live action film. Currently on Netflix, it is blowing up the charts. We are so grateful to be able to spend some time with her today. I'm going to introduce you to our panelists. We have Katia Woods in Philadelphia. We have Thomasina Farr, also in Philadelphia.
Right.
We have a new member, Jonita Davis, who is in, I'm just going to say Chicago, even though you're in Indiana. We have Rebecca Ford, also a Midwesterner in Chicago. Oh, we have a whole row of Midwestern Chicago people. And we have Rhonda Rasha Penrice, Chicago native who lives in Atlanta. We have Tamika Newhouse, who is in Atlanta. And we have Brandon Collins, also a new member, who is in Queens.
Wow. Well, if it'll give me a little more love, I was born in Chicago.
Oh, wow.
I can't truly claim it because I left, when I was 1 year old, but,
You got those Chicago roots. Right. So without further ado, members, I'm going to kick it off to you. I'll be back on at the end.
All right.
Hi, Gina. Kathy here out of Philadelphia. The first thing I want to say is you're giving us summer vibes, but being able to stay at home. So if people say we don't have summer movies, that is a lie. So I'm really appreciative. How important was it for you to have, because very rarely do we get to have two women leads who aren't playing adversaries necessarily. How important was it for you to make sure that that relationship is shown in a positive light, not in a catty type of way in this film?
I mean, it was everything. When I first read the script, that's immediately what jumped out. The fact that it was focused on these two women, the fact that one was a young Black female hero, which, I absolutely wanted to put into the world. And for me, it just felt like the most unique veteran rookie relationship that I had seen, given the veteran is 6,000 years old and the rookie is this baby immortal. But I love that yes, there's natural conflict at the beginning, but they need each other. And, as this relationship develops, they learn from each other and work together and end up joining forces at the end. And I just thought that was a beautiful story. And even more so, it was very important to me that it never felt like, a white savior saving this Black girl. They were equals, despite the fact, again, that one is a veteran, one is a rookie. Wanted to make sure that Nile had her own story, her own arc, her own agency. And so I that was really important to me, two leads as opposed to a lead and a sidekick.
And also, can you talk a little bit about with everything that's going on with the changing in the industry? What do you think? Do you think that women, especially minority directors, especially Black women directors, will finally get the budgets that they deserve to make the films that they want to make?
I mean, God, I hope so. I guess it's twofold. This is still a watershed year in terms of women directors and women of color. This is the first year ever in the history of Hollywood that 6 blockbuster movies are opening in 1 year directed by women. Half of us are women of color. And success begets success. That is just how Hollywood works. And so my hope is that all of us have great success with our films, because that absolutely has to open the door. I mean, there has been this narrative, constant drumbeat in Hollywood that women don't want to do action, that they can't do action, and they don't like even watching action. All three are completely false. And what this year can prove, I hope, is how false that is. So there's absolutely pressure when you are the first in doing something because you don't want to mess it up for everybody else. And that was absolutely my intent. If I can do a good job with this film, it's going to give others the opportunity that I was grateful to have.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, speaking of the pressure, I mean, how major was it for you to have Charlize Theron there with you?
Mm-hmm. I mean, she ultimately got us the green light. Skydance, and I will never get over the fact that, this company like Skydance, who does such big films with Mission Impossible and Star Trek and Terminator, like called me to come sit in a room and talk about this film, The Old Guard. And it was because of my prior work with Love and Basketball and Beyond the Lights. Like, they saw that as a benefit, whereas the rest of the industry was just looking at, oh, she has no action. But they wanted that for this film, that level of character development and that story depth. And so to have that confidence and have them like believe in it and believe in me meant everything. And so we developed the script for another couple months, and then it was, who was going to embody these characters, and certainly who was going to embody Andy, who is such a specific character. And I knew I wanted great actors for every role, but also I knew I wanted the actors to really be doing the action and the fights and the stunts. And Charlize has proven herself in this space a couple times. So I knew going in, I would have that trust. And when we brought it to Netflix, her involvement was, in terms of being an actor, got us that green light, and then we were off to the races. So that was really great.
I know you're an athlete yourself, but were there any blueprints for your action? I know that, from your previous work, the emotional piece is going to be there, but were there specific films that you admired or fighting styles that you kind of gravitated towards that helped?
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. I mean, it absolutely did start with being an athlete, knowing what I wanted, especially since there were women in this film that needed to be really, really good, and knowing what that looked like, having been in the ring, having gotten hit and also hit as well. Like, it bothers me when I see women in action that don't look as good as they should, or it feels like you could just put men in that scene and it wouldn't change. Like, let's be truthful to the way that women fight. We're not going to be throwing each other across the room. We don't have that type of strength, but we have a different strength. So I really wanted to really focus on women fighting. But that said, there were absolutely templates that I wanted to aspire to. I think foremost the bathroom fight in MI6 is a perfect fight. And I showed that to our stunt coordinators 100 times. The DP Tammy Riker and I studied that film. Terry Shropshire, my editor, and I studied that. But also Zero Dark 30 was a big one for me. I love just the reality that Catherine Bigelow brings to her work. The Raid, very big one as well. The action in there is so visceral and creative, never gratuitous and never gory. It was just real and raw. Logan, another one, given the conceit of Logan, that kind of touched on the old guard in terms of the regeneration. And there was this Asian film called Ong Bak 2 that I stumbled upon that really had some great stuff. So to be able to bring these things to my team and just be able to talk about what I wanted for our fighting, and at the end of the day, wanting it to feel grounded and real, those were all great templates. And then it's up to me and my team. How can now we create something that brings my aesthetic to it and do something a little different, in the hopes that, maybe one day someone else will put my scene up and say, I want to do that.
Well, you accomplished that.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Gina.
Good afternoon, Gina. I'm sorry, my name's Thomasina. Such a huge fan of your work. Really love the old guard, especially the action. And not only that, I love the emotional pull with the characters really struggling with their immortality.
Mhm.
And I read that you said you thought the film had a uniqueness in this genre. Can you talk about that uniqueness and how it shaped what you brought to the project?
Mhm. What I found so fascinating about this film and the script and the story, and all props to Greg Rucka, who wrote the graphic novel and then adapted his script. Prior to this film, absolutely many times in my life, I've said, I wish I could live forever. You know, I wish I wouldn't have to die, because you think about the courage that would give you if you knew you couldn't die, all the things that you would do. But then in reading this, it's about the tragedy of immortality more so than the aspirational aspects. And I was just so moved by that, moved by these characters who were mostly immortal, which meant that you can't die, yet you will die eventually, but there's so much uncertainty, you just never know. And their loss of purpose just felt so human to me, despite the fantastical conceit. It was something I absolutely connected on a human level with these characters. And so focusing on the tragedy of it and the reality of it, with Niall becoming immortal, not focusing on, oh my God, I can, jump out of a plane and not die, or I could, go in a car chase and do crazy things and not die. That aspirational, I wanted to stay away from, and really, again, focus on the reality and what it must be like to have a life and a family and a career, and then suddenly that get blown up because you're suddenly immortal. Play the reality of that. So I felt like that's what was different about this piece, and what I'm so honestly excited about that people are connecting to, because that was the first thing that connected me with this story.
Nice. What is it that you most want people to connect with from the film and kind of to take away from it?
I would say two things. When I finished reading it, the first thing that came to my mind was the theme that I had hoped would permeate the film, which is that we have a finite time on this earth. So what are you going to do with that time? And the hope is that you do good with it. And that kind of dovetails into, this pandemic has taught us so much, but mostly how connected we are globally, and this separation and these walls and not working together are so detrimental to what's happening. And the fact that it really is this group of the small group of warriors from different backgrounds and cultures and sexual orientations and genders have come together to save humanity. I love that. And the organic diversity of that. It's what I want to see when I look up on screen. It's what I want to see when I look out on the world. So I'm hoping that people take away from the normalcy of that as well.
Thank you.
Hi, Gina. This is Tamika Newhouse in Atlanta. I had a question about your private moments. Creatively, did you have to tap into your personal experiences when it came to taking on this new directive role, especially with it being more action-driven and the cast being more diverse? I grew up watching Love and Basketball, and then, of course, Beyond the Lights was an excellent love story. So can you take us into your creative space and how you prepared for your set for every day?
Wow. Yeah, I mean, this one was really interesting given the bigness of it. I remember having a conversation with Patty Jenkins, and I'm so grateful to her, and also Ryan Johnson, two people I reached out to just give me advice on navigating this film and the bigness of it. And, Patty talked about the necessity of stamina. Beyond the Lights was 33 days. This was 63 days. I was overseas, for 9.5 months, living in a hotel. Now, good thing I like hotels,
Right.
but it's a lot. And to be away from my family, just the things that she imparted on me and what to focus on. you know, there's so much that goes on, and the pressure is so great. And so in those quiet moments, it absolutely was a reflection on something that my husband and I talk about so often with our work, is have a cause bigger than yourself. Because it does push you through those days where it does feel overwhelming. There's so much work to be done. Sleep is just not an option. And to maintain that focus, well, why are you doing this? And continually going back to my why. And, you know, it really did help. Why am I here? Why do I have to succeed? Of course, I'm here to tell a story that I believe in, and these characters that I believe in, but there is something bigger at play here, and I don't have the luxury to fail. I don't have the luxury to say, I'm not gonna work on my shots tonight. I'm just gonna go to sleep.
Right.
You can't do that in this position. So there, you know, oh, and also I have to say, having Terry Shropshire, my editor for 20 years, like on this journey with me, having that voice in the editing room, my first audience, on this film, I would say more than anything, I needed her, you know, to be there, and those calls in the morning after she's watched the dailies from the night before, and say, yeah, you're getting it, you're doing a good job. Like you need to hear that. It doesn't matter what level you're at, you need to hear that. And to be able to call my husband and say, hey, I need help with the, you know, the objectives for the scene. And, you know, no matter what hour, I'm nine hours ahead, didn't matter. He always pick up the phone, be on the phone and help me through that. So it was really tapping into the people that mean the most to me, that pump me up on those days that it did get hard. But also having Kiki on set as well, and the conversation she and I had together. We said, we are putting a young Black female hero into the world that we want people to be inspired to. And really, like, that was so inspiring to both of us, and a really connective thing between the two of us. And so those constant reminders really got me through.
Good. I love the fact that you have a good support system. And I want to also tap into, how do you feel now? Now that it's released, now that you made history with this role, how does it feel? And then what is next? What do you feel like will be next?
I mean, I cannot tell you how good it feels in this moment. And to be on something for 2 years, to have so much uncertainty at certain points in it, to now be on the side of it and it be embraced, and be embraced even more than I had hoped. You know, my entire career, I've been told that my films don't travel, you know, that I've never got an overseas push in anything, because, you know, on a loop, we're told that other countries don't care about seeing Black folks. And so to now have this film drop in 190 countries is so mind-boggling. The fact that it's doing so well in Africa, one of the, like, just on another level, is so beautiful to me, because they get to see Kiki. And it's like, it really is hard to wrap your head around the size of the audience.
Yeah.
And, you know, as much as I love and still love the theatrical experience, the bigness of it, the collective experience, we make films for an audience. And I can't wait till we can talk about how many people have watched this thing. But wow, it's an amazing feeling.
Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Hi, Gina. I'm Rebecca Ford. I'm with the Chicago Daily Law Bulletin and with WCPT in Chicago. And I wanted to follow up on, you're talking about being an athlete. And yesterday, when we were talking to Kiki and Charlize, they were saying that the fight scene in the plane was the first one that was filmed. So why was it important that go early? What happened? You know, what happened as a result of that being first? And then talk about being an athlete and how that impacted your approach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When the first AD, Toby Hefferman, who's amazing, when we first started talking about the schedule, he suggested doing the plane scene first. And my immediate thing was, hell no. Like, you have to, for any director, but absolutely for a female director, those first 2 or 3 days on set the tone for the rest of the shoot. You have to prove to your crew that this chick knows what she's doing. It is. And so you have to make your days. And so I literally was like, no, what is the smallest thing? What is 2 people at a table? Like, I know I could do that and make my day. But he talked about, given that the actors who have been training for months, once you start filming, it's hard to keep up the daily training. And so there was a concern that all this choreography that they've been learning was going to kind of fall away and they'd have to relearn it. And so it was scary. Do not get me wrong, very scary, but it made sense. And then I thought about, with action, especially a scene like that, so intimate, where they're literally, throwing punches at each other's face, the moneymakers, like, inches away, that would absolutely build trust. Now that's a risk, because if Kiki really clocked her, that may pissed each other off. But it was the absolute right decision, because it did set the tone for the shoot. We had 4 days to shoot it. And it also gave me the ability to be so planned out. I mean, I shot the whole thing with stunt doubles first, just me and Tammy, just to get a feel for it, even before the actors came on. And to have that luxury, really my first big action scene, to be able to have that kind of practice of shooting it prior to the actors was an absolute gift. The fact that it did absolutely connect Charlize and Kiki and build a trust between those two, but also that veteran rookie relationship I talked about that I wanted on screen, that was developing naturally off screen. And so that, was able to translate. And it gave me confidence as well that the way I wanted to shoot it in my head, wanting it to really be the actors, so the scene could be character driven and emotional and have a story. It's one thing to say it, but would the actors really be able to do most of it? And I remember that first punch that Kiki threw, it was like, oh yeah, I believe that. Like, I see the intent, I see the work that she put in, and I knew that we were going to be okay. So that it was really exciting. And it was fun too, because my incredible stunt crew, Jeff Haberstad and Danny Hernandez, who designed the fights, and Bryson Counts, their respect for me, because I had been in the ring before, because I was an athlete and could talk to them with their language, I had the respect, and I am so grateful to them as well, because they are at the top of their game and were so good. And I've heard horror stories about how some female directors are treated by others. Never got that at all. So being an athlete was absolutely helpful, also because I had such an intent. I wanted our women to be badass. I wanted an audience to focus on their athleticism and their skill, and never it be just sexualized and look at these two girls in a cat fight. I didn't want that. I want to normalize women as athletes and tough and courageous, and just the kind of women that I grew up around. I just wanted that up on screen, and was grateful that both actors put in the time to do that, and that belief and was respected throughout the crew.
Just to nail it down, as an athlete, what were your sports? Basketball, and so we believe in basketball. So were there additional sports as well?
Yeah, I lettered in 6 sports in high school. So basketball and track were my main ones, but also softball, tennis, volleyball, cross country. And then I was also on the swim team. That was right prior to high school. I had to give something up, but sports absolutely is why I'm here today. Everything that sports taught me, and I give props to my parents for putting me and my sisters in sports ever since we were 5. And there weren't girls teams back then, so we had to play with boys, and boys were not happy having girls out on that field, and we used to get punched and kicked. But my parents would say, don't leave the field, prove yourself out there. And that lesson alone absolutely influenced the stamina and the drive and that leave it all out on the floor and outwork everybody. All those things I learned from sports absolutely apply to directing, because it takes all of that. And being a Black woman up in here, it takes all of that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Gina. Brandon Collison, Media and Popcorn Podcast.
Hey.
First off, huge fan. Thank you so much for making Love and Basketball and introducing Zappa Roger into my life. I was 15 years old. I never heard I Want to Be Your Man. That completely changed things for me.
Great song.
I do want to ask, how do you choose your film projects? You have an incredibly diverse filmography in regards to the stories that you tell, going from Love and Basketball to The Old Guard, and then your recently new project that was announced with Viola. Like, how do you choose these projects? What's your thought process?
It's a guttural thing. It is I have to, as opposed to I want to. There's a ton of projects I want to do, but how hard it is, how much of my life I have to give up to do it, it has to be a have to. And, whether it's things that I've written, everything is personal. Writing is an incredible way to have free therapy. And every time I've dealt with something I've had to deal with, having done The Old Guard, which is really, Despairing Acts, was a writer. I did a pretty big rewrite on that, but again, everything is connective to me. And The Old Guard, not writing it, but that thing of your search for purpose was absolutely something I've gone through, where, why am I here? Am I having any impact? That was so connective to me. So it really is. And the Woman King that was just announced, the mother-daughter story in there is so connective to me. So it's that guttural connection.
Got it. Now, you have an incredibly diverse cast in The Old Guard, all the way from Charlize to, you had the actor who played Dudley from Harry Potter as the villain, which I was like, which of your actors surprised you the most as a director working on this project?
Wow. Well, they were all so good, and going in, I knew they were all good. So I can't say surprise, but Chiwetel, watching him on screen, it's like, he's a genius. He's amazing. Being a couple feet from him and watching it was surreal. What he can do with a look or one word literally is staggering as a director. And he's also so good with character, and his character, more than anybody, the things that he brought to it lifted that character off the page and elevated it, because Copley could have been just this, but what Chiwetel brought, I honestly gave him freedom to really dig, and he would come with ideas about it and dialogue, and it was all great, so he absolutely elevated his character. And it was a beautiful thing to watch, and he's such a gentleman. He's such a good dude. So I'm grateful for that experience.
Great, and we're grateful for you. Congratulations on making history.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jonita with The Black Cape, and as of next week, The Blurred Galaxy magazine. I have a question about, you talked about the authenticity, and there's some small little nuanced places where we saw things like, there's one point where Charlize tells Kiki, "You've got blood in your hair," and Kiki looks at her. She doesn't go to muss it or to primp her hair or anything. Were any of those ad libs, or were they like intentional, and in the script, intentional places where you were like, okay, do this?
Mm-hmm. I feel like it would have to be kind of a case by case. The moment that you talked about was something that I added to the script just because it felt real, and that was the exciting thing in being able to be so collaborative with Greg Rucka. That's what we really dove into, is always wanting to play the reality of the situation, you know, despite the fantastical conceit. And I remember distinctly, you know, that moment and knowing what I would feel in that, and so bringing that to Niall's character. So I would say a lot was written because we spent a lot of time on the script, but again, what was great about having such good actors are some of the nuances that they brought themselves.
Okay. And was there any moment where you were thinking that, you know, where you had any apprehension about people not accepting these two women who were not busting out of their clothes, or, you know, they were not just, you know, these girly girls that we've seen as women in action movies? Did you have any apprehension about people accepting, you know, the heroes you were placing before them?
Mm-hmm. I'll say I didn't have any apprehension because I was so clear. One, they were on the page and it excited me, and I'm the first audience. And so for me, I felt honored to be able to bring these two women to life. The apprehension comes in that first audience screening about, is your vision going to be accepted? You just never know. As much as I had a beautiful support system around me, they all love me. Where a preview audience, they don't care about me. They're going to say whatever they want. So the fact that these women were so embraced, and that we got great numbers all around, but the highest numbers were from women and older women, was pretty satisfying, because, you know, the fact that they saw themselves in these two women and were inspired by these two women, and the comments that they gave, where they commented on this thing that I've said about this, which is what I truly believe, the fact that, you know, courage should have no gender, badass has no gender. Like, it's not just a male thing. We all have it in us. It's just that women have never, or very rarely, been encouraged to tap into that. We're told to tamp it down and tamp down your voice, and don't be so loud, and stop running, and, you know, don't sit like that because you're messing up your knees, you know.
Yes.
Whereas they just loved it. And I have to say, the number of older women who have embraced it, that's dope to me. My mom sent me this amazing note the other day, and sorry, I'm going off topic, but it's just,
you're fine.
I was nervous about this film and my parents because they're older, and my dad has, you know, when he'll cry at the news, you know, and this was the first film that I've made that I felt, wow, they can't be a part of it, because they've been at every premiere. They're so supportive. And I felt bad about that, but I was worried about the violence, even though for me, the violence is necessary, and I never treated it as a celebration. But I told them not to watch it. And I thought that they would listen to me. And then I got a call from them 2 days ago, and they were like, we loved it. And I was like, wait, what are you talking about? You watched it? And the way that they broke it down and talked about the themes and why the violence didn't affect them. And then, as I said, my mom wrote this incredible note to me. And it meant so much, because, again, I didn't think I was able to share this incredibly huge moment with them in my career. And the fact that they didn't listen to me and, you know, went ahead to be supportive, that was pretty amazing. Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. It's such a high compliment. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Dang, y'all got me emotional.
Hi, Gina. I'm Kim in Atlanta. It's such an honor to be here with you. You're such an icon for the culture, period. I want to say thank you.
Thank you.
What are your thoughts on being deemed as making the blockbuster, you know, of having the summer blockbuster film?
I mean, it really is two emotions, because it is an amazing feeling that people are embracing this film and loving this film, not only as an action film, but also feeling as if they're connecting with it, and so many different people connecting with it, with the themes and the characters. But I also do feel such incredible empathy for my fellow female directors who have these incredible big movies coming out as well. And some were supposed to come out before The Old Guard. And the fact that we got to stay on our date, I'm so grateful for. But oh my gosh, if we weren't, I know how I would feel. You work so hard on these films. They take so long. You want to share them with the audience, and to not be able to do that and have so much uncertainty, again, absolute empathy. So I love that we get to be out, but I'm also super excited to see their work as well.
And I'm not sure if anyone has asked this already yet, but you have a track record, a DNA handprint for creating classics for our culture. Obviously, you've done that again this summer. Is there a specific formula or secret sauce, or how do you know when you have it? Because you have a lot of it's.
Okay, thank you. Gosh, I wish I knew, for real. I wish I knew. I guess the only thing I can think is that every project I do, it is a story I have to tell, and it's so personal and maybe truthful, and tapping into that so that I can share this truth with others. And what's beautiful about doing that is when you're doing it in the moment, you feel alone, like you're the only one struggling with this thing that I'm writing. And yet when you put it in front of an audience, you find out how many people have in some way struggled with the same thing, and then they feel connected with these characters and can see themselves in the characters. I mean, it's the only thing I could kind of think of, and that I don't do a lot of movies, but it's because, like, when I put something out, I want it to mean something, and I want to entertain, but absolutely say something to the world. And that those two things, I'm grateful absolutely that is embraced, and hope that all my work continues to do that.
Thank you, because Black film matters, and we want you to continue doing what you're doing. Thank you.
Hey, Gina.
Well,
are you gonna do that?
I'm sorry, Rhonda. So go on.
Go ahead.
No, I think this is going to be, you're going to be last question.
I just wanted to say, what might a sequel look like, and can you give us a little bit more on The Woman King?
Yeah, I mean, the sequel thing, I'll say it this way, foremost, like it truly is up to the audience. And what has been really dope, I'm not gonna lie, is how many people are eager to see more. It means that we did our job with this one. So that's crazy, humbling, and cool. And Greg, these comic books, he always envisioned it as a trilogy. And actually the second installment is now out. And I'm actually eager to read it, even though I know where the story goes, and it's pretty great. So the audience seems to be interested. So I know what's in those pages, and people can go look in those pages, but there's so much cool story to tell. And I'm curious to see where the characters go. I know that Niall gets a love interest, which is exciting to me, a love story. The more we can put that in the world, the better. So as I said, lots and lots of story to tell.
No teaser, more of Woman King?
Oh, The Woman King. Yeah, I have to say, it really does feel like my career, including The Old Guard, has given me the opportunity to now be here and tell this story. And, it's just an incredible story, and an incredible group of women that have, they were touched on in the Black Panther in terms of those women being based on these women, but to be able to tell their story authentically, and in such a cool way. The script is really beautiful. And Viola, man, I can't wait. Her work inspires me. She inspires me. And our conversations about what we want to put in the world, for Black women, for our people, is it's really beautiful. And her and her whole team in developing this script and this project is inspiring. And I just feel lucky to be along the ride with them.
Thank you so much, Gina. On behalf of the world's largest group of Black film critics, we want you to know that we appreciate you and that we will continue to follow and support you and uplift you in your journey. Stay safe out there, and hope to see you soon when this pandemic is over.
No, and thank you all very, very much. It, you know, this industry is a trip, and you know, it's so important that we have each other's back, and I've felt it throughout the years. It means a lot, so much for you guys elevating the work and believing in the work and believing in me. So thank you very much. Cool, thank you.
Happy 20th anniversary.
Yes.
Hey, yeah, 20th.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, y'all, stay safe.
You too.
Bye.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.